Going on, everybody? It's gonna be a little bit of a different video today. I wanted to make a video really explaining my add-ons that I use and a little bit of my UI because my my dungeon videos are starting to come out, my push for 3K, and I've noticed that when I'm recording those videos I do a lot of explanation based off the color or things of my unit frames, because to be honest, I don't know the names of mobs or what their categories are, things like that. It's just easier for me to describe what I'm seeing. So I wanted to make this video just to briefly go over a couple of things that I'm using for my push to 3K IO for my tank, my DPS, and my healer. So the first thing I want to talk about is my unit frames. You will see here that I do have my unit frames colored based off of mob type. I am a person who uses Platynator. I did use Plater for a long time, but I found that I've always thought that it is very difficult to get into the settings to really understand what's going on, and Platynator is really easy to just set up, and I really like that. So as you can tell over here, you have in my unit frames, you different colors: purple, pink, like brown, white, and both the names and the bars are the same color. So you'll see in the designer, when I do have a mob that casts, that casts is yellow. I do have it to where if it's interruptible by me, it's green. If it's an important cast, it's orange. If it's a channel cast, it's pink. Both of those will be, if they're interruptible, I can interrupt them. If it's not interruptible, it's black. And if it's already been interrupted, it's black. So it kind of just makes it a big, easy visual thing for me to see that it's been interrupted, I can't interrupt it, or it needs to be interrupted, kind of thing. So the way this works is it will be, if my interrupt is on cooldown, it'll be yellow, and the second that my interrupt is available, it turns this bar green, saying that I need to interrupt it. Same with the cast and the channels. As far as the actual unit frames themselves, I do have it set, like I said, by color, and it's really just by elite type. So as you can tell, trivial mobs are gonna be the brown. The white mobs are melee, pink mobs are casters, mini bosses are purple, so like lieutenant mobs, and then the bosses are blue. I do have it set also to where, like, if I am the tank, so like in raid, if I'm the main tank, I have aggro, it's blue. If I am the off tank, the unit frame turns white, which is something I can show in raid if I ever do a later video. But as you can see in these unit frames, the bar itself as well as the name is pink. And the reason I've done that is when I'm not in combat with things, I see the color of them. However, when I get into combat with them, everything turns blue, but the name stays the same color. So I can easily tell, which mobs are the important ones. So I know that this is a trivial mob, this one is a trivial mob, this is a boss, like a lieutenant boss mob, and then these pink ones are the casters. So that's why it's like that. Now, if I am the off tank in a dungeon or in a raid, or if I don't have aggro on things, these turn orange if I'm losing aggro, and red if I have no aggro at all. So the unit frames will actually change colors, which you'll see in some of the videos that I do. And as you can tell, the cast bars, this is pink, it's channeling. I could not interrupt it. This is pink, it's channeling. I can't interrupt because my interrupt is on cooldown. And then when my interrupt comes off of cooldown, like right now, I can't interrupt this, and my interrupt is off cooldown, so I can interrupt it. But that's pretty much how that works. Another important add-on that I use is is Dander's frames. So I'll pull up that once I get into this fight or this dungeon, and it'll pull it up. You know, I'm a big fan of like just the traditional Blizzard party frames or raid frames. I think they're really good. This just gives me a little bit of additional things that I find to be helpful when I'm in specifically raids more than dungeons. The main thing that I do set up, especially for raids, is the pin frames. I keep the pin frames as the only ones that go on the pin frames are the tanks. I like to have those in their own separate bar that's up here. So it'll be like right here. Specifically, I like to have them there just so I know I can count the debuffs and things for my off tank when I need to taunt and things like that. But other than that, I don't really have a lot of things changed or edited in here. I think I might have the debuffs. No, not debuffs. I do have the debuffs changed where boss debuffs, like, it doesn't count down because it gets in the way of the stack number. But other than that, I think this is pretty much the same with everything else. But that's really it. One other highly important add-on that I've found, and I found this on Twitter, I don't know where and who it was, but it's Keystone Loot. Just I've set up to where each dungeon and raid tells me what loot I need to be looking for versus like that falls off the bosses. But that's really it. Every other add-on is pretty much standard. When it comes to my UI, I do use the general, Blizzard buffs, Blizzard weak auras essentially. The only thing that I have in the essential cooldowns are these two spells, and I usually only put a couple of spells here, and I put them vertical because they are things that I find to be highly important. So for Brewmaster, I was noticing that I wasn't using Blackout Kick or Chi Burst essentially on cooldown. I always had a lag in them. So I put them up here so I see them and know that I need to press those buttons all the time. And then I do have both track bars and track buffs. Track bars are usually my major cooldowns, and then track buffs are just things like Blackout Combo, Counter Strike, things like that are constantly coming on and falling off. So I do use just regular action bars for my spells. That's how I track everything. And then I also use big wigs, but it is one of those things where I use both big wigs timers and the Blizzard timeline. And the reason I do that is because I find that in raid, when I am the off tank, when I am not actively tanking, it is easier for me to read what is coming up. And when I am actively tanking, it is easier for me to just look at the timeline and figure out what's happening. It's just really the ability for me to process information as quickly as possible. So that's why I use both. It might seem like a little bit of overkill, but it works for me and I enjoy it. I have tried to not use one or the other, and I find it throws me off because I'm always looking at specific areas of the screen. So the left side is for when I'm actively tanking, right side is for when left side is for when I am not actively tanking, right side is for when I'm actively tanking. But that's pretty much it. Those are the major add-ons and like UI elements that I have for my you're gonna see in my videos for pushing for 3K and for my Twitch stream and YouTube stream when I'm streaming, raid content, things like that. I hope you found this not, I'm not gonna say enjoyable, but I hope you understand like where I'm coming from and things like that. If you watch my videos, maybe you'll understand a little bit more when I'm talking about, oh, this pink mob, this purple mob, this brown mob. That is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the color of their name and their enemy type, essentially. If these are, you know, my player profile or my Platynator profile, something that you want, I will add it down in the description below so you can grab it. But it's essentially, you should be able to set it up. It's very basic if you want to take mine and edit it a little bit. But I appreciate you guys hanging out. Thanks for the video. Stay tuned for more dungeon videos coming out. They're going to start coming out probably every couple of days, starting this week. So stay on the lookout for those. Thank you for hanging out, and I will talk to you guys later. Adios.